Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Killjoy Jake YouTube channel. How we doing tonight? Welcome in, one and all, whether you're a Terrifier fan or not. If you're not, you're kind of in the wrong place. I mean, no offense, but we're going to be talking a lot about Terrifier 3 tonight, getting into the nitty-gritty, the spoilers, baby. So if you have not seen this one yet, you might want to dip out, go see it, and then come on back. I'm realizing how dark it is in this room without the light on. So if you want to see more of the details in my disgusting shaved head face, let me know. But I'm vibing with the purple mood lighting, and it's gonna get moody tonight because we have a lot to unpack about this new movie that I've been dying to get into with all of you with spoilers. So let's just get right into it tonight. Yes, again, one more time, spoilers are going to be discussed tonight. You have been warned. Mods, no worries about. You don't gotta cut down any people for putting spoilers in the chat tonight. So if you get it spoiled, that's on you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It is right there in the title of this stream. So let's just crack on into this bad boy, rip open this skull, and talk a little bit about it. Let's see what everyone's got to say. EastVR, thank you for being a member, my friend. Saying, what's up, Jake? Unpopular opinion, but I think showing Jonathan's skull was the perfect way to reveal his death. And as you can see, we're not even 2 minutes, not even 5 minutes, I should say, into this bad boy, and we're already getting into a big reveal, baby. So there you go. It really nails being more emotional than if it was on screen. I don't know if it's more emotional because it was off screen. I think it's very Terrifier that they did it off screen though. It feels very mean spirited to do that, to have that emotional kill off screen, to deprive you of any sort of like sad or emotional moment, because a lot of the kills in these movies are just the opposite of that, where we're pointing and laughing, right? So maybe it wasn't Terrifier to have an emotional death in these flicks, but I think I kind of felt like we were going that route for the longest time of Jonathan was going to go down. It wasn't going to happen with him, you know? He wasn't going to make it through this one, I guess is my point. And I've been speculating this for a while because the character nearly bit the dust at the end of the last one. I mean, he barely survived Art the Clown last time. Going against him a second time? No way. And especially because him and Sienna were going to be separated the whole time. I'm like, this dude ain't making it. But for me, I appreciated the way it was done because, yes, it was very mean-spirited. It was a kick in the fucking chest. And I appreciate that. That's cool. But still bums me out that we didn't get to see an on-screen death for him. Honestly, I think the biggest thing, especially, I saw it again last night to be fresh on it for tonight's stream. I think the biggest thing I didn't like about Jonathan in this movie is the fact that they kept him out of the flick for so long. He had, what, I mean, 10, 15 minutes maybe of screen time? That's like nothing for a main character from the previous entry. That's crazy to me. So to do his death off screen and to have him have very little screen time, I don't know. It was just, it was weird. It felt like something strange was going on there. So I'm hoping to see him again in the next one now that we know that ghosts exist in this universe and our past Art the Clown victims are haunting Sienna. I imagine Jonathan still has a way to come back in part 4, hopefully with more screen time this time around. You know, give him something to do, for Christ's sake. Dear God. Timothy Meads is hanging out with us. What's up, Timothy? How you doing? Hey, Jake, how is your day going, man? Can't wait for this live stream. Mia Goth, what? Where are we going with this? Mia Goth wanted to feel how it felt. Oh, Mia got to. I thought that was supposed to be Goth, like you forgot an H or something there, and I'm just like, Mia Goth. What? Damn, Maxine came out like 3-4 months ago, bro. But rock on. Mia got what she wanted, to feel how it felt to be in Art's presence. Everyone acts what was amazing. I can't wait to see what T4 has in store for us. 100%, and I loved that with Mia's character. The thematic relevance of her death was fantastic. Like, he opens her eyes and like does the crazy shit, puts the glasses on her. It's hilarious, man. I loved that. Again, the shower scene, it might not have topped the bedroom sequence, but what it did do was give us a very well thought out and brutal moment that's completely unforgettable. You're going to be talking about that when you leave the theater. That's all I was looking for from Terrifier 3, and they executed that very, very, very well. While, again, I have my minuscule little issues with this one, I fucking loved it. And seeing it again, I honestly, I almost want to amend my review. There were some things I caught that actually smoothed over some of my little issues with it, especially with the ghosts, especially with the. I don't have a problem with the Brooks scene anymore. I was like, what? You know, this is cool, but like, why are we seeing it? There's a lot more that the ghosts play into the story that I definitely caught on a second watch. And again, I would love to see this extended cut, because apparently there is 20 more minutes, roughly 20 more minutes of the movie that was cut out. that could potentially come in a director's cut at some point in the future. There's a petition out right now to sign so that the film gets re-released in December with all those added things that had to get cut for this, the first run in theaters. So sign that petition if you want to see the bonus scenes that got deleted. I'm hyped to learn more about all this fun stuff. I'm just curious real quick. I can't even hear the music, man. Kind of want to turn that up just a little bit. There we go. Give me a little backbeat or something. Okay. I was just like, I'm not hearing I'm just hearing my own voice right now. That's awful. Dear God, we need a little something in the background, some kind of beat going. Evening, Jake. Evening, Eric. How are you? Watching Art go all fanboy on Santa was fucking hilarious. The opening scene was brutal and amazing. Oh, yes and yes to both of these things, my friend. Oh my God, what a fun sequence that was with Santa Claus. I'm kind of bummed that they put that out on YouTube. That they put not all of it, but the first part of that sequence has been officially released on YouTube. And I'm like, man, that's the funniest part of the whole movie. Why'd you post that? Don't spoil that for everybody else. That sucks. But it's so funny. I fucking love that scene. Honestly, I saw it again last night and I thought, okay, seeing it the second time, it's not going to hit as hard. I was still belly laughing in that theater. And mind you, Madison and I went to go see it last night and there was still, 15 people? On a Sunday night at like 9:15? Crazy. I couldn't believe, never have I seen that for an indie movie before. Never in my life have I seen where I've had other people around me at a late night Sunday showing. Never. Not one time. So it was crazy. Just insane turnout for this movie, which has been nuts. 18.3 million pull from this weekend. This is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Love or hate the Terrifier franchise. With movies like this and Longlegs this year, we're in for some crazy shit for the rest of the 2020s of horror. Like, indie horror is about to dominate. I don't even know what's coming next. I'm genuinely like, this is going to be fucking crazy. This is going to be a crazy couple of months here. But yes, the Santa sequence was great. It was brutal. I felt like it captured the best elements from the first movie and the second film. It was hilarious, right? It starts off, you're cracking up. This is the funniest shit I've ever seen. But then it gets dark real fast when the gun gets pulled out. And to me, that was like, wow, this is a sequence that I feel like is a microcosm of the entire film. Like, it perfectly hits on elements that we saw in the first Terrifier that were lost in 2, and elements that 2 only has that 1 does not. I loved that. I love that we could find both of these things in this one film. 3 really does feel like the best of both worlds between the first Terrifier and the sequel, and I loved that so much that we could find that, especially in this one sequence alone. Some great stuff, though, man. I loved it. The opening scene, so brutal. Some of the best sound design I think I've ever heard in a slasher film, by the way. The sound design is not getting enough credit. I'm hearing everybody say, oh, the kills are great, and of course they are. Like, it's a Terrifier film. Of course the kills are going to be great. I would be shocked if they weren't. But, man, the sound design, the VFX, the performances in this one, a lot of things here are next level. Again, another thing I want to amend from my review, I think this is the best Terrifier film. I think Terrifier 2, I like the story better personally, but just the professionalism that came with Terrifier 3, I think it makes it a better film overall. God damn. I'm blown away. We are witnessing horror history here, ladies and gentlemen. This is nuts. But Atomic Renegade just became a YouTube member. I really appreciate the support, my friend. You're at the Ghostface tier. Fantastic. Appreciate that a bunch. You get to see the new Terrifier video I just posted today, a horror hot takes video on the first Terrifier from 2016. I ripped that one to shreds, gave you my hot takes on it. Go give it a watch right now. Well, maybe not right now. Not while we're live, right? But in a bit, stop on by and check that one out. It's a fun video. It was fun making that one. But Atomic Renegade, thank you for your support, my friend. Lighting Ghost is throwing $2 out there as well, saying Art slapping Sienna at the ending was hilarious. That was a really nice running gag throughout the end of the movie, for sure. That was hilarious, man. And again, this ending is very dark. It's very sinister. You know what I mean? We are talking about a possessed Victoria Hayes and Art the Clown just absolutely ruining Christmas for the extended Shaw family. And we still have like a slapstick running gag throughout all of this. Like, again, I really do love Terrifier 2. Like, I think that is still my favorite slasher movie of all time. but the thoughtfulness in just about every sequence of Terrifier 3, I think is just so well done. And it's so thought-provoking. Again, captures everything that you want from the Terrifier franchise in all of its sequences. Did anything top the bedroom scene? Did anything top the shock and insanity of that? Maybe not. But again, I feel like this one is just a lot more thought out, a lot more polished over, even if it does feel kind of choppy in a few of those bits that we've definitely kind of talked about before in the past. I would have loved to have seen Sienna dig up the sword at the Terrifier. I would have loved to have gotten a little more with the flashbacks to her dad and whatever the fuck that demon was, which we still don't even really know. And I would have loved to have seen Jonathan's death on screen. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm blown away by this entry. This is easily one of the best, if not the very best horror film of 2024, without a doubt. That was hilarious though, Lighting Ghost. Thank you so much for the $2, man. I'm hoping to see you this upcoming weekend, by the way. Coming to Scarefest. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun weekend, man. Thank you for the $2. Fallon Vamp is also with us, a fellow member. What's up? Thanks for being part of the Killjoy cult, and thank you for the $5. Saying, I'm back. The movie was awesome, but I need more scenes. I don't think Jonathan is really dead. We dressed as Art and Little Pale Girl on opening night. That's awesome. Oh my God, nice, Fallon Vamp. Now, this has been the big theory that I've gotten 100 comments, I would say, about this. Now, people saying Jonathan's not dead. They're bringing him back. I don't know. I think personally, I'm leaning towards Jonathan is dead, but we just didn't see the kill on screen. And there is a reason for it. While I'm not 100% over the moon about that reason, right? Like, I don't know if I'm completely sold. There was a reason for it in the narrative, right? To give us that fake out, to make us think that Gabby was dead. But really, it's Jonathan. Putting the glasses on there, very mean-spirited, very Terrifier. There's an argument to say, like Easty was saying earlier, that's fucking awesome. That totally fits the vibe of Terrifier. I can't argue with that. But I do kind of like how we did, like, Barb's death, for instance. In Terrifier 2, it was a little more emotional. I think it's the closest thing we've gotten to an emotional death in the Terrifier franchise. And I think, those can be effective, even in, edgier movies like this, right? I think that can still work to be something a little different, to stand aside from a lot of the other stuff going on in your flick. But right now I'm leaning towards Jonathan is dead. And why I think that is because I think Gabby is taking his place. Like, I think Gabby serves as what how do I want to phrase this? Like, the thing to be guarded. Sienna is protecting something, right? It's got to be like someone younger than her, some younger sibling, or, well, in this case, cousin, for instance. Think about how much relationship building they did between Gabby and Sienna in this movie. I'm pretty sure Jonathan is just they just killed him for a freaking a shocking death in this movie kind of thing. And then we're going to kind of swap roles with that moving into the next one. It's not the first time we've swapped big roles in the Terrifier franchise either. Don't forget, we've had 2 final girls before Sienna, technically, with Tara and Victoria, who are now, I think, both dead. So many question marks around all of that. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. I think Victoria's dead, though, at this point, right? Head got chopped off, and she turned into a blood portal to hell. Let's get all the phrasing right here. But dear God, I don't know though. I think Jonathan is dead, and I think Gabby's going to be our new young character to take care for Sienna to protect and take care of. But that's just my thoughts as of right now. I would love to explore this in some kind of theory video, start doing some more digging, especially once that 4K comes out, when I can pause the movie and start writing down certain lines and shit. I still want to go through the whole notes that Jonathan gave to Sienna. I got to read a little more of it last night. I got through maybe half of it, but I would love to read that whole thing that we did not get to hear the whole thing of, and just kind of write down what all is in there. I'm sure there's some more clues, some more secrets, whatever. I mean, think about when we broke down the newspaper article with the little pale girl. We found out Emily Crane was her name originally, and if you remember going back to the first Terrifier, that was the name of the crazy cat lady's baby doll, was Emily. So we know that she's her mother. Not the ghost version, of course, but the actual Emily Crane, who we've technically never seen on screen before. But I don't know. There's probably so many little details and clues that are right in there. And I even have a theory already that I'm waiting to. I have a big Terrifier 4 video that I'm like, I want to detail all of this before I really get into the meat and potatoes of that. But I love all the theories, though. I love that we're already talking about what the hell's going to happen in this next movie. I'm sure we're going to get even deeper into it tonight. But Fallon Vamp, thank you so much for the $5. We still got a long stream ahead of us. Let's just say that there's still plenty to talk about, for sure. Richard B is hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for being a member, Richard. Saying, since Art doesn't have any powers, I think he's going to do a lot more. He's going to be a lot more dangerous. I think Art is just a human now in this moment of time since his power source is dead. I think, honestly, I think just Victoria Hayes is dead in this current time and place. The entity just doesn't currently have a vessel to possess, is what my thinking is with all of this. And that's why the hell portal opened up, right? I think not only Gabby got sucked into that, as well as the sword, but also this evil entity, which is probably Satan or Lucifer or whatever the fuck, which is going to be totally crazy in the next one. But I see what you're saying about Art not having powers. And I think that's ultimately where we're going with part 4, right? Because once this entity that is latched on to Art the Clown, which this movie pretty much confirmed to us that, yeah, Art the Clown was just some crazy serial back in the 90s who like killed a bunch of kids and whatever. And now this supernatural entity has latched onto him, which makes him invincible, and he's just gonna keep going. He's just gonna keep creating chaos all over the place. Why not? He can't die. He doesn't suffer any consequences of his actions. I think that's ultimately what Sienna's goal is going to be in the next one. Like, and we even got into that a little bit between Jonathan and Sienna in a sequence which is literally just exposition. we go into this church for like this whole sequence of exposition in this movie, which is so funny, but it pretty much spells out where they're going with the next one. I think, I gotta say that I feel like it's a little less mysterious going into part 4. We are definitely getting like the final chapter that's going to be like a holy war, heaven versus hell kind of thing. But also having some moments with Art the Clown being his goofy self, I'm sure. Countered with, we have an A and a B plot, essentially. Something similar to that, I imagine, is going to be the case. But I'm so excited to find out more about this, Richard. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm excited to find how they figure all that out in the next movie. Like Art losing his power essentially, and then Sienna having that final battle with the guy chopping his head off for good. With no stinger scare at the end, leading you to believe he could come back again. I think for sure that's where we're going. I think that is 100%. If I have a general outline in my head of where I think Terrifier 4 is going to go, it's something similar to that for sure. Jason Bryden has just become a member as well. Dude, thank you so much for the support, Jason. I really appreciate that. And you're an Art the Clown member too. That's our top membership thing there. That's awesome. Thank you so much, my friend. You get to choose which movies we do on Horror Hot Takes. Now, I've elected to do some of the Terrifier movies because I don't think anyone's complaining about that. I've yet to get a complaint about all that. So we're doing All Hallows Eve next, which is why I just bought this bad boy right here. Really excited to get into that. As you guys know from what I was saying like a couple minutes ago, there's a Terrifier horror hot take that I literally just released today, so members can check that out now. Maybe after the stream though, because we're all hanging out now. You know what I mean? We got 122 people just on the couch talking Terrifier. It's great. I love it. But check that video out after the stream. It'll be fun. And then I got that one coming up at some point next week. It's going to be a really good video. Really hyped to check that one out. But Art the Clown members can suggest other movies to talk about on that series. So let me know, Jason, in the comments of any of those videos. Send me an email, whatever you want to do, and we'll get to another horror movie of your choosing, my dude. So thank you so much for your support, my friend. Let's keep talking Terrifier. Matt Suboy. I always feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. What's up, fella? How's it going? Saying Cole got the chainsaw up his ass. Crazy effects. Yes. We got to see his whole dick and balls. The meat and potatoes. the whole goddamn thing there too. It's such a weird sequence because it's almost glorious because of that song that like the song that's playing in the background is like over the top Christmas song on top of that. It's like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. But I loved it. It was such a brutal sequence, so hard to watch. Oh my God. I think if there was any guys who watched Dawn's death in the first movie and we're like, that's not that bad. This is for them. This is for those people who are like, it could be worse. It's like, well, what if a chainsaw got, what if a chainsaw got your like nutsack up in there? That would fucking suck. That would be awful. That would be horrible. So there you go. That one's for you guys. Horrible, man. So hard to watch. Stereo Crow 1954 is saying Cole getting sodomized via chainsaw was fucking wild. Truly terrible. Chris is saying I wasn't ready for the bomb scene. I wasn't either. You never know what you're gonna get with Mr. Art. Chris, I was literally the first one to say, I'm like, this sequence where Art the Clown's talking to kids, this is just going to be him being goofy and getting kicked out. It's going to be very similar to the ending of the bedroom sequence where he's just passing out candy to children and he's being goofy. I'm like, nothing. What can Art get away with at a shopping mall? There's no way it's going to be anything too bad. And I was dead wrong with that theory, let me tell you. And I've never been so glad to have been either. That was a shock and a bang. In all the possible ways I can make puns here. Yeah, that was unbelievable. I could not, I was losing my fucking mind laughing. Just total disbelief as to what was going on there. But very funny stuff there for sure. What the fuck, man? I love the liquid nitrogen too. I felt like was really creative. That I was not expecting at all, but it totally fits the vibe, right? Of a Christmas slasher movie, like to freeze Santa Claus and then smash his fucking limbs. I'm like, yeah, what a fitting death for a Santa character. Oh my God, that's great. So funny though. 44-4G is saying maybe I'm desensitized to horror, but for me, I thought the opening was more brutal than the shower scene. The opening was pretty brutal, dude. That was upsetting. And this is an instance where you don't have to really show too much for things to be upsetting. We don't actually see the kill itself, we just see the aftermath here. And it's, God, it's fucked up. And Damien just had an interview, I think with Variety, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was a Variety interview where Damien was talking a little bit about how he doesn't want to show, children deaths on screen. That's too far even for the guy that created Terrifier, which is nuts to say, right? But I respect it, and honestly, I think there are parts of that opening that are more upsetting because we didn't see him, especially with the way it ends. We see Art the Clown cut up little Timmy into a bunch of pieces on his bed, and then what he does to the mom and the dad, Jesus Christ, it's so hard to watch, and I think a lot of that is the sound design, which I can't stop praising. God, it's so good in that opening scene. But to end that sequence with him just opening up the cabinet and finding little Juliet, like, that's so upsetting. Like, what the fuck did he do? What happened there? I don't think she's alive. Tell you that much. I don't think she's definitely a goner. Tell you that for sure. But damn, it's upsetting. There's a lot you can do with off-screen moments there. I think Terrifier 3, that is probably the biggest complaint though I have. Like, there are some moments where things are done off screen. I'm like, fantastic, that's great. Uncle Greg's death, Jonathan's death. I'm like, we could have done that on screen, I think. Erica is reminding everybody to hit the like button and show a little love. Why the heck not? Subscribe so that you don't miss anything. I appreciate that, Erica. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate the mods tonight. Y'all are doing a great job. Y'all are kicking ass. Appreciate you guys. Fried Chucky is saying, thanks for being a member, Fried Chucky, saying Terrifier 3 was one of the most hardcore movies I've ever seen. It was absolutely one of the most hardcore movies I have ever seen in a movie theater. I'll tell you that much. I think in a lot of ways it does top Terrifier 2, just in terms of like how many different sequences of that were so fucked up. Like, there's, one or two sequences in Terrifier 2 that was like, that's the most brutal thing I've ever seen in the theater. But like, pretty much everything from Terrifier 3 was like, oh God, that is so fucking upsetting. What do you mean? What do you mean that's what Art the Clown's gonna do next? That's crazy. So there's a lot of good stuff in here, man. I was just over the moon with this movie. So much fun. You're gonna see it a second time, probably a Tuesday matinee. Very nice. I saw it last night, and again, a lot of my issues that I had with it initially, Ty, I are very much so smoothed over. And a lot of that is with the ghosts. Like, I remember I said in my review, I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy about the Brooke scene. It's funny. Pass the rice. That's hilarious. That's great. It seems to be something that's really catching on with the community, which I love. But I was kind of like, does this really serve a purpose? Is this going to be something in Terrifier 4? I'm not 100% sure yet. But then I'm thinking about Jonathan's death. I'm thinking about what's going on with Jonathan, how he's talking about still seeing ghosts just like Sienna. He's denying it a little more, though, is something I noticed. He's kind of trying to get away from that. He's like, I'm not listening to this, Sienna. Let's move on from the past. We're just traumatized kind of thing. But he's clearly seeing ghosts, too. And I think that led to his death that, again, we didn't really see on screen. So I'm okay with the ghosts. I'm okay with the ghosts haunting everybody. I think it is going somewhere overall. And again, I think is setting up the comeback of other characters to aid Sienna in her quest to fucking stop this demon and chop off Art the Clown's head for the final time, which I love. So there's a lot of good stuff here. And again, I think it is a lot of things where we're going to explain it in the next film. You know, this is a segue film to get us from part 2 to the finale, which I believe is going to be Damien Leone's Army of Darkness. Like, it is going to be it's going to be out there. It's going to be weird. And it's definitely going to feel a little more, much bigger, much more over the top. And again, that heaven versus hell vibe, I think, is going to be even more prevalent in the next film over the last. I hope it doesn't take away too much from Art the Clown's shenanigans. You know, that is definitely something I'm worried about. I hope they're going to allow Damien to do a longer film as well, for sure. I want to see Terrifier 4 be longer than 2 hours. I think it needs it for 100% for sure. Do you think Art killed the little girl in the opening, or do you think he let her live? It could be a thing in some years to revive the franchise with her being alive. Well, you know, again, I think it's awesome that we don't know for exactly this reason right here. It's like, well, you know, what if we decide to tell Sienna's story throughout this, like, you know, kind of trilogy, right? A trilogy with 4 movies. I've talked about that plenty of times before on the channel. But what if they decide to do something like this? Like, what if Terrifier 4, you know, makes even more money than the previous one? Then of course they're going to want to make more in some capacity. And if we want to do, like, you know, a prequel, a spinoff, of this, that, whatever. There's a 5-year gap in between Terrifiers 2 and 3. So you know, are you telling me nothing happened in that time period that we could show in a movie? I'm sure they could find something like what you're talking about here, Ethan, like something like that to do moving forward. So listen, keep your eyes open, keep little notes about all these little details in these movies, because I'm sure at some point we're going to be mining them and trying to find more ways to to tell other stories in this universe. I mean, I'm going to be real. We haven't even talked about Victoria Hayes that much on this stream yet, and I think she was one of my favorite parts of this movie. Like, easily my favorite performance from Victoria across the 3 movies, without a doubt in my mind. And I could almost do a whole movie with her just running around being a creepy little Deadite ripoff. No, I don't care. I love the inspiration there. I love the Evil Dead, the very clear Evil Dead inspiration with this movie. It was a lot of fun to see. I could do a whole movie of just her running around being a psycho killer, because that was so much fun. I loved Samantha Scaffidi's performance. Some great stuff across the board here, man. I don't know. I loved that. Locked has just become a new member as well. Locked, thank you so much for your support. Welcome to the Ghostface tier. Check out the Terrifier horror hot takes and be on the lookout for the All Hallows Eve one coming up next. A Terrifier movie that, you know, some folks have not seen. So I'm getting really excited to cover that one for sure, and talk about Art's adventures before the main storyline. So that one's going to be fun for sure. Necromechanimal is saying, how are you going to start Terrifier 3 with an off-screen kill, then not even show what hairnet happens to the little girl? Terrifier has lost its edge? That's a hard argument to make, man, after that shower sequence and the rat glass tube, you know? There's some brutal shit in there, man. I'll tell you what. And you know, again, I don't think you don't have to show everything on screen to be edgy, I think, as well. This is, besides All Hallows Eve, of course, right at the end there, this is the first time we've seen Art the Clown, like, you know, David Howard Thornton's Art the Clown, go after children. And to me, that's a step up. That's a step up, technically, you know, if we're not counting All Hallows Eve. And it's brutal, man. And we got to see the aftermath of it. So I'm happy with it. I thought it was edgy enough for me, for sure. But I'm also glad that we got to get into the lore and a lot of the background story here with Art the Clown a little more, which was a big thing for me. I was really excited that we were talking about that. I've been so invested in the lore. I've been studying it after part 2 so much, because I love that they didn't give us all the answers, you know. And I'm even more excited with Terrifier 3 now, where we have more questions. We have even more questions leaving the theater from part 3. Things that are so vague that I almost have a problem with them. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is so vague. What was the point of this? I know it's going somewhere in part 4. And I, you know, honestly, there might even be a part of me where I'm like, I'm not going to like part 4 as much, because they're going to have to give us more answers. They're going to have to, you know, close some of those open ends while leaving some things to the mind to unravel. But I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what comes next from the franchise. From Damien's most recent interview with Variety, it sounds like this is definitely going to be the last one too. So makes me sad. That definitely makes me sad. But I'm glad we're just getting an efficient narrative, and we're starting this thing, closing it out That's going to be the full thing, not going on for 1,000 sequels like some other franchises out there where we get some diminishing returns, and that's never any fun. JT Owsley, thank you for the 10. Really appreciate that. Saying, first day at my new job complete and Terrifier 3 still sucks so much ass. What a horrible story. Nothing happened aside from it's about trauma. The ooey gooey gore is boring. 1114 will take your soul. Man, that's brutal, man. That's a heartbreaking take here from JT Owsley for sure. I had my little minuscule issues with it, but I just was so invested in this story and everything that's going on there. I fucking loved it, man. So it makes me sad that you weren't really into it, but I don't know where else they could have gone. You know, this is not the first time I've heard that people have a problem with Lauren Levera doing the trauma thing, you know? And I even said in my review, you know, I'm like, listen, this is a final girl trope as old as time, but I feel like Lauren does it really well. We're going through the similar motions of other franchises for sure, but there's a reason that other franchises have done this same thing, right? It just makes sense. If we cut back to Lauren Levera's Sienna here in Terrifier 3 and she's fine, she's totally over it, she's living a normal life, well, there's no tension, you know, there's no story there then. We just have to do exactly what we did in part 2 again, and that's not really any fun. This adds a whole new level to it, something that at least this franchise hasn't tapped into yet. You know, like I said earlier, all of our final girls in the past have died very viciously or lived to tell the tale in some some pretty awful ways without part of their face. And I don't even really feel like we explored the trauma side of Victoria Hayes' story all that well. Like, yes, we end the last Terrifier, I mean the first Terrifier film, with her getting wheeled out of the hospital with that, you know, the messed up face, and she's even talking about at the beginning with the interview, she's like, oh, you know, I try to isolate myself, and, you know, children are afraid of me. It's terrible. We get a little bit of that, you know, I guess, but this is really the first time the franchise has gone down a deep dive down this path of trying to explore the idea of surviving something so awful like this. So it grounds the story while still having that really over-the-top, ridiculous moments with Art the Clown. It worked for me. But I have seen some people say, well, every other franchise has done that. But again, I think there are reasons that some tropes exist. And to see them done differently by other creatives, that's fun. I think that's fun to see. You got to have a little bit of familiarity with your story to bring people in. But when it becomes too familiar, then it can become unoriginal. But I would argue that Terrifier 3, it has that original little pepper, little spice to it, while definitely serving a similar dish to something like Friday the 13th, Halloween, Scream. Definitely taps into some of those corners as well. But I thought that was really important to telling this story in particular. If they didn't have that, I think we'd be having the exact opposite complaint for sure. But I loved it. I had such a good time with this one. JT, I'm sorry that it didn't do it for you, man. Thank you for the 10. I appreciate that, though. Luddy Network's also throwing $2 out there saying, pretty upset with the third act, just felt rushed. I'm just curious, what in particular? I wasn't the biggest fan of not showing Uncle Greg and Jonathan's death on screen. That was my big thing. But besides that, I loved just about everything else. We were talking earlier, I loved the running gag with Art the Clown constantly hitting Sienna in the back of the head. You know, he can't kill her, right? But he's like, well, I'm going to torture her, though. I'm going to break her wrists and make her open a present. I can at least do that. It feels very in character for Art the Clown and just Terrifier in general. It did not lose that mean-spirited edge that some argued that 2 didn't have. You know, some argued that 2 wasn't as mean-spirited as they would have liked. I think it's very mean-spirited, but some people wanted to get back to that original where we actually get to see Art the Clown like torturing people and shit, you know? And I get that. I trust me, as a horror fan, I get it. But I don't know. I loved it. I had a great time with it, man. Let me know let me know if you have any other problems besides that with the third act. We'll definitely get into it. Again, all opinions are welcome here. You know, listen, just because I'm hot and heavy on this movie, damn, would do some things with Terrifier 3 if it was a real person. But what I will say is that if you're someone who, if you're just not crazy about it, voice your opinion. We'll get into it, man. I'm all about it. I'm all about talking about these things. But Luddy, thank you for the $2, my friend. I'm sorry you weren't all that crazy about this one. Makes me sad. Who else is hanging out with us tonight? We got Rivgo Crazy, another channel member. Thank you so much. Seeing Ghosts by... what? that's a tough word to get through. But there was definitely some banging music in this one for sure. We got the Ice Nine Kills song is playing in the dorm room when we're talking with Mia and Cole and Jonathan when they're all kind of getting together for the first time. That was very cool to hear in the background. We got that Dream Kid song, which was great. Is it a remix of the song from Terrifier 2? Question mark. I think so. Can you fact check that for me? My fact checker. That's to my right here. Yeah. I don't know. But I loved that Dream Kid song that was playing. That was really good. Again, lots of good music in this one. And going back to rewatching the first Terrifier, man, I took that one for that soundtrack for granted. The music and the score in the first Terrifier does not get enough credit. There is some really good stuff in there, man. Really excellent stuff all around. And it's no different with this film either. Some really good songs on the soundtrack list there for sure. I wonder who's coming into the stream for the first time, seeing my bald ass head and just being like, "What the fuck happened to Killjoy Jake? He looks kind of scary." Thankfully, it does grow back. At least I hope. Fingers crossed. And hopefully, I should have some hair here in a month and a half or so. But I shaved it for a short film that you guys might have just seen on the page. And hopefully you'll check it out and see why the fuck I did this to myself. Because I promise I wouldn't do this just for nothing. I'm only shaving my head if there's some kind of meaning behind it. But there you go. Christopher Mayo's actually asking a really good question here. What are your top 3 worst kills in Terrifier 3 specifically? What were my least favorite? Probably shooting the guys in the head and the neck. I'm gonna use that as 2, which is probably a cop out. I don't care. I don't know. Gun kills are never gonna be as fun as the slower, more brutal practical effects and VFX showcases that some of the other kills are in here. So those are definitely 2 of them for sure. Probably Uncle Greg's death too. Again, brutal. I loved that we got to see Sienna, get her face in his guts and all that. That was fucking nasty. I loved that. But we didn't see it on screen, and I thought he was a really cool character. I liked him, and to get an unceremonious he's stigmata'd against the wall. I could have used more for sure. Those are probably my 3 least favorite. But even then, I mean, dude, the Uncle Greg death, that practical effect, you put that in a short film for a low budget, that's gonna be impressive. That's going to be pretty impressive, man. So even at the worst of this franchise, there's some excellent stuff here, man. There's still some good stuff. Luddy Network, thank you for the 2 again, saying, having that said, I still loved the movie. 8.5 out of 10. That's a totally fair rating for this one as well. I'm not even at a 10 out of 10 for this one, and I fucking love this franchise. I lose my mind over a new Terrifier flick, but I think realistically, this one definitely had a little more problems personally than the last one, just in my opinion. But again, they step it up with the performances, the gore, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, the score was actually pretty fantastic. We got some a few new bits of score, which I really liked, that are still kind of in my head a little bit. I loved that, while still hitting on some of the classics. We still get the classic Terrifier theme. But, I think the one thing, if there's one thing that lowers this one from 2 to me, which is completely a personal thing, it just feels like Art the Clown is mainstream now. And this is something that's like, yeah, of course, that's gonna happen with a franchise that's growing in popularity as fast as something like Terrifier. But I don't know. It's something that, like, there's a few sequences in this one where I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a Marvel movie where we're talking about a character that's been around for 100 years already that, everybody can reference and talk about. And I don't know. It just feels like it doesn't feel as niche or as fun anymore. You know what I mean? There is that aspect of Terrifier 3, but I still love it. I still love everything that Damien and the entire crew is cooking. But, when Art the Clown, what the fuck am I saying? When Art the Clown, basically breaks the 4th wall like 2-3 times in this movie, I don't know. I miss when it was like funny on accident. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? There's a lot of like, you see, you guys like when I do this. There's a lot of that in this movie that, I don't know. I'm just like, I miss when it was organic. I miss when that laughter, that goofiness that came around with Art the Clown was just, putting a camera on David Howard Thornton, letting him do his thing. So I definitely did miss that a little bit from Terrifiers 1 and 2 moving here into 3, where it's almost self-aware. It knows it's funny a little bit, which I don't know. I feel like that kind of, it loses a certain edge for me. with that for sure. So that's really, I can get past the whole Jonathan dying off screen. I can get past that realistically, because again, and we've already talked about this, it's very Terrifier and very mean spirited to do that to a main character. But that to me was the one thing that lowered it to a 9 out of 10 for me. I feel like Terrifier knows what we're here for at this point. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of miss the more like we're trying so hard to make something really good energy of 1 and 2. That they are a little more confident with this one, which I'm sure makes the production a lot fucking easier. Let me tell you, I'm sure Damien wasn't sweating bullets as much as he was with wearing almost all the fucking hats on Terrifier 2. But I don't know, I guess I miss that. I miss that grassroots effort feeling of the last 2 movies for sure. But I loved this flick. I had a good time with it still, warts and all, and I'm excited for part 4, man. But Luddy, thank you for the $2, dude. And look at you go. Look at you go, you MVP. I love you. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. I appreciate that. You're also saying, I really liked it, but not showing Jonathan's death, if it was really him, is so wrong, and why did she wrap the sword as a gift? There's more I'm just looking forward to for the next one for answers. And I think you said that perfectly, man. There's a lot of issues with this one where I'm like, I can't even really criticize this movie because I know part 4 is going to expand upon these things. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm still reviewing Terrifier 2 years later, because there are answers to questions we got 2 years ago back in 2022 that we're just now getting answers for. And now we can assess, right? Now we can be like, okay, well, does that work? Does this work? How do we feel about the dad? You know what I mean? How do we feel about Sienna's father? Kind of being a little more involved with Art the Clown. It wasn't just like a fluke or a little bit of a scare that was nonsensical in the background, like some other franchises just do to push a story along. There was a point to that. I mean, hell, I've actually already gotten some takes on that from some people who have said, like, they're like, this movie just cared too much about the story. We just want to see the clown doing his thing. But I don't know. I feel like we got both, and that's great. I think that's awesome that we got a little bit of both. We got Art the Clown doing his thing, being a goofy little guy, fucking geeking out about Santa Claus and then nearly shooting him in the face. But then, we did freeze all of his limbs off and smash him with a hammer. That was great. But we also got an expansion of the lore. I feel like this is a film that should make all fans pretty happy. I don't know. But I know some people are like, I don't know, not crazy about this one. But... And yeah, I do agree with Jonathan's death. It does suck. But again, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's the point. That's totally the point. This is a mean-spirited middle finger of a franchise. So there you go. Why did she wrap the sword as a gift? I think I just saw Necromechanimal say she. Oh, do you got it? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. The peanut gallery is giving me some notes on this one. She wrapped the sword as a gift so she could sneak a weapon into the house because they were already having issues having her there unarmed. That's a really good point. I don't think I caught that. And Necromechanimal, that you hit on that perfectly, my dude. Because we had a lot of issues with Sienna and the family. They were kind of butting heads a few times in this movie for sure. She was freaking out after she heard about everything going on in the mall. And then, what does the family do? They're like, we got to kick her out. We got to send her back to the mental facility. This is too much. And I mean, totally fair. They have a kid, you know what I mean? They've got to protect their kid at the end of the day. And they got to do what's best for Sienna ultimately. And yeah, sneaking a weapon in there, with someone who might not be all there in the head. Yeah. The parents would totally not be all for that. That is a really good point. Necromechanimal. See, there's even more things that I feel like I need to see this fucking film a third time, I think. And gladly at that as well, because my God, this one is fun. But very good point there, my friend. I don't even think I caught that. That's awesome. But Luddy, dude, thank you for the $10, my dude. And again, I feel like we might be expanding more upon Jonathan's death in the next film. I think Damien knows that is the biggest thing I have seen about this movie. The biggest complaint is that I wish they didn't do that character so dirty. So just wait until part 4. I think we're going to have a lot of our issues smoothed out. This could even grow to a 10 out of 10 in time. In time, my friends. Vicanus. Dude's got anus in his name, and I just have so much respect for you for that. Thank you for the $10. Saying, I'm so happy they decided to make Art's backstory just being a random guy who is so evil, lemon-scented evil, that the demonic entity was able to enter our world through him. That made me so happy, just pure evil. Yes. Oh, I mean, 100%, dude. Sometimes the simple motives, the simplest stories are the most effective. And in this case, I couldn't agree more. This has been a fan theory for a long time, too. And I think it's the best answer. It's the best way to answer this. Because, yeah, I mean, Art the Clown is just this chaotic, aimless killer. That's the only attribute we've really seen him display in the last 3 movies. You know what I mean? To give him some crazy backstory about having this, like, thoughtful motive and all that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would totally suck. So 100%, I loved that we were already kind of laying those seeds, that groundwork to say that this was just some evil motherfucker, that demon was just like, hey, here, bam, immortality. Go ahead, keep killing people. And he's just like, all right, cool. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. It's a Saturday night. I got my big bag of tricks over my shoulder. Let's go, you know? So I could not agree more. That was something I was very happy with as well. We got that little line of dialogue from the demolition crew, which was great. They were very funny. That was a good scene as well. So very good stuff from this one. I loved the expansion of the lore. I could not agree more, my friend. Thank you for the $10, dog. Thank you for the support. People were really walking out of this one. Really? Says Charles. I guess so. People were passing out and throwing up too. Isn't that crazy? They have him turning to the camera way too much in this movie. Yeah, a little bit. And you know, even though I do take issue with that a little bit, it almost does feel deserved, right? If they expand on that a little more in part 4, and he's just a gimmick, you know, he's dancing to Bye 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 at the beginning of of Terrifier 4, then I'm gonna be like, okay, you've gone too far. You have officially gone way too far with this. Chill out with the fourth wall breaks and dance numbers. But Jacob Olsen he just lives in hell. He lives in the setting of where Terrifier 4 is probably going to take place based on his profile picture here. Is saying, do you think Mia deserved to be killed? I mean, she was pretty annoying. Her and her boyfriend were pretty annoying, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't crazy, you know, honestly, what I really liked about what I really liked about 3 and a lot of its characters is, you know, you go back to that first one and there are just a lot of meatbags. There's a lot of just meatbag characters where they get introduced and you're like, yeah, this character's gonna die. This character's gonna die, and that is their sole purpose of being on screen right now. But with Mia, I feel like there was a little more. You know, there was a little bit of commentary there, and I liked that. We're talking about a character who profits off of true crime, off of, you know, real awful things that happen to people in the real world, and she doesn't even have any sort of respect for that. Even after all of that, she's just looking at Sienna like a product. Like, come on my show, you know, come on my show. The fans will love it. And she doesn't even think about the fact that about how awful, you know, the things that have happened to Sienna and Jonathan are. And I love that. I actually think her death is very deserved, and very thematic as well, which was nice. It added a new layer to Terrifier, something a little more thought provoking than just blood, gore, and a crazy murder clown. So I thought that was really fun, personally. I know some people are hearing this right now, just rolling their eyes. So they're like, oh, keep horror simple, man. But you gotta add little things in there, man. You gotta add something in there for the audience to constantly be thinking about. I mean, a wall-to-wall 90-minute movie, or, well, I guess in this case, a 2-hour movie of just blood and guts and gore. You know, you can only go through that journey so many times without catching anything new. And I feel like when movies try to do something like this, try to add an extra layer to its characters, make them, you know, represent something about the world that maybe the creative doesn't care for, or does care for and wants to, you know, put a big spotlight upon, that adds so much more to a movie. It keeps me coming back for more, to catch more little details like that, for sure. So personally, I say throw the details in there, throw your commentary and metaphors in there to make it even more interesting with a familiar concept. Why the fuck not? Makes it fun. Jason Bryden throwing $10 in there. Thank you so much, my dude. Saying, I disagree with the idea that Art was breaking the fourth wall. In Terrifier 1, they were looking for a clown on the radio for the pizza homicide. By Terrifier 3, he's infamous, so college kids are gonna college kid. And that I do agree with. It's not completely unwarranted. I do agree with you there. It's not like it completely comes out of nowhere. Art the Clown, of course, is going to be making some headlines after killing as many people as he does in Terrifiers 1 and 2. To me, it's just a little Marvel movie, the way that they approached it, I guess. It's not so much the fact that they did it. Like, yeah, you're 100% right. Of course, Art the Clown's going to be infamous after everything that he did, and the police have been looking for him for a long time now. But to me, just the way that they approached it, the way that, you know, she's like, I don't want to fuck him, you know, and then he's just like, all offended. You know, it just feels like that's something I would have seen Deadpool do, not Art the Clown. You know what I mean? That's my, I guess that's my issue with it. So that's just, again, that's a personal preference. That's a pet peeve thing of mine that I'm just like, when I see characters do that, I'm just like, okay, we get it. Cool. The ultra super fans are going to think this is hilarious for 2 minutes. And then when we watch it again, we're going to be like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. That's at least how my fucked up brain works. But some people, some people see this shit and they're like, that's hilarious. That's great. Love it. Rock on. Just my opinion. I'm just not crazy about scenes like this. It's a little cocky in my opinion personally, but just a personal pet peeve. That's all. And yeah, you're right. It is set up very well. And of course, Art the Clown does have a little bit of notoriety at this point for sure. So 100% can't disagree with that at all. Jason, you make some very good points here, my friend. Thank you for the 10. I appreciate that. Thank you for vocalizing your opinion because, again, I have some people say like will disagree with me and they'll say something like, "Oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings," and I'm like, "No, that hurt my feelings, dude. Fuck, I'm not right. I'm just some asshole talking about movies on the internet. So please tell me I'm a fucking idiot. Please let me know. Please let me know how dumb my movie takes are, man. I'm here for it. Luddy Network, thank you for the $2 again, my dude. Saying, okay, but why not show her going to get the sword? What the fuck? And that I also agree with. I would have loved to have seen that. And I think we could have more organically shown us more of the backstory with her dad in some of those sequences going to the Terrifier by herself. And I think in horror movies, whenever you have a character going off alone, you're expecting to see them get attacked, right? But to do something different with that, I could see this whole sequence in my head where it's like she goes off to the Terrifier, she's back there, and she's having flashbacks to the night that it all happened 5 years prior. You could also work in some shit where she's remembering stuff about her dad there. That would have been perfect in my opinion. That would have been so cool. I don't know. I could totally, I don't see why that scene wasn't shot. I don't see why that scene wasn't thrown in there. Would have loved to have seen more about going back to the Terrifier. Especially because we went, I just thought about this. We went there in the movie earlier. We had the cop, walking through there and get attacked by Art the Clown's body. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why we didn't put that in there besides, of course, a time restriction, which sucks. And that's public. I believe that's out there. That's what we know from Damien, that he had to cut this movie down to 2 hours to get the full theatrical release. But I don't know. This movie lended itself to a longer story. I definitely would have loved to have seen it be longer. And again, if I sound negative, if I sound like I'm complaining here, trust me, I'm not. God, I loved this movie to death. Like, it is easily one of my favorite horror movies I've seen in 2024. But this is a sequel to one of my all-time favorite horror flicks. I'm gonna be picky. I'm gonna get into the nitty-gritty of everything and just be like, oh well, what if we just tweaked this and did this a little differently? But I'm so jazzed up, man. I'm dying. I'm like literally dying to sink my teeth into Terrifier 4, even though it's probably going to be the last one based off of a lot of Damien's recent comments about it being like the final showdown. So there's a part of me that I want to get to Terrifier 4 already, like right now, but I also want to keep the distance, because I'm like, I don't want this to be over yet. This is so much fun. Oh, I love it. So I feel that, Luddy, 100%. I wish we could have seen that a bit, but at least it was all set up. We did have a story that could flow from start to finish without pieces being missing. I've seen movies like that too, where you're just like, well, we needed this scene in there and we didn't have that. How do we get from point A to point B here? There's something missing, some missing link. So at least they explained that. They showed her washing the dirt off of her hands and all that, and we got that at the very least. But Luddy, thank you for the $2, my friend. I'm excited for Terrifier 4. Excited to learn more about all this. I hear some rappers crinkling in the back of the room. What's going on back there, huh? So funny. What? Are you throwing me something? Let's go. Oh, totally missed that. What if I just started sucking on a Jolly Rancher? Would you guys mind for the next 5 minutes? Can I just do that? Can we just turn this into a mukbang? Isn't that what they call it? The peanut gallery is laughing at that one, so I'll take that as a win. Anyways, Vacuum Anus is throwing $5 out there again. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you. Every time I see that, I see the word anus, and it makes me laugh a little bit. Thank you for the laugh, more than anything, more than the super chat. Thank you for the laugh. Was the story the construction worker told about the kids true? Good question. I thought he was trolling his friend, P.S. I thought Cole was nicer than I expected. Oh, okay. We're getting deep. We're digging deep into this shit, man. We're going balls deep on this. I love it. I really like the idea of the construction workers, the whole story just being total bullshit, just trying to appease the fans, right? But I think there is something to that. I think we're definitely going somewhere with that. We learned from this movie that whenever we see Art the Clown, gearing up, we're getting ready to go. He's at this abandoned house. That's where his setting has been this whole time. So my guess is because we learned that and we got this line from the construction worker, yes, Art the Clown is this serial killer from the 90s who buried a bunch of kids in the basement or whatever. So that's my guess at least. And yes, I do think he was trying to, scare his friend a little bit, but probably based on something he heard once, It's I heard it from a guy who heard it from another guy kind of thing, where it's probably not exactly, the right story, but it's something close. And I'm sure we're going to get a more definite, clear answer in the next film. But you also thought that Cole was nicer than expected. Again, I liked that there was a little bit of tension between the couple. I think most times whenever you're talking about, okay, we're going to do like a frat boy with a college girl, the dude's usually going to be a dick. So it's kind of cool to see the reverse of that here. Mia was kind of the problematic one, and Cole was kind of like, dude, stop, like what are you doing? That was cool. It was cool to see the reverse of that. Again, something you don't typically see in horror flicks. Usually it's the other way around. So fun character dynamic stuff. Yeah, very cool all around. Vicanus, I appreciate you getting into real deep. I keep saying balls deep. I gotta stop. I appreciate you getting into some deeper thoughts here than just the surface level stuff. It gives me a lot more to talk about. I appreciate that a bunch, dude. Thank you for the 5. Thank you. Good stuff to talk about for sure. Jason Bryden, throwing another $10 out there. Jason, you're going crazy tonight, and I appreciate it, man. Thanks for supporting the page. Saying something I haven't seen pointed out in Terrifier 2, Art seems disgusted by the pale girl at first. In Terrifier 3, he seems agitated by Vicky. I'd love a payoff to this somehow where he goes into business for himself. Ooh, maybe he turns against the entity. Use the chaos against the entity. Maybe that's how Sienna defeats, the fucking evil at the end of the day, I guess that would actually be really fucking cool, because how do you stop something so chaotic like that, turn it against its power source, which of course it would. Like that's not out of the ballpark for Art the Clown. Maybe he's just like, oh, I get to kill Satan. Yeah, he would have that thought, and it wouldn't care what it did to him. He doesn't give a shit. We've learned that a couple of times. So that would be fun. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm actually very much so into this theory, Jason, the idea that maybe we can turn Art the Clown against his own power source here just because he's a chaotic fuck who doesn't give a shit. That would work. And that's another reason why looking at the third act again, why I don't really have a problem with the reason that Sienna even got out of the situation in the first place. Because I think it's real easy to look at that third act and say, well, why would they have her open the present? I think it's real easy to say that about the third act of this movie. Like, why didn't they just kill her? Why didn't they just possess her? Why didn't they just kill Gabby to possess Sienna? I think the reason is because both of these entities are a little just chaotic. They just want to cause evil shit around the world. Sure, maybe whatever the entity ends up being, if it's Satan or just a demon in general, it does have a little more of a goal versus Art the Clown. Then Art the Clown is he's just doing his thing. He's just being silly. He doesn't give a fuck. But I like the idea that I just really like this idea that they just want to cause chaos. They just want to fucking lay waste to humanity. They don't give a fuck about any sort of order or anything like that. I love that though. Jason Bryden, that's some good stuff there, dude. Thank you for the 10. Killer theory, my guy. I might rip that from you in a in a future video. But thank you for your support. Thanks for the super chats tonight, man. If you got anything else, throw it at me. I'm curious what else you got to say. Got some good stuff there for sure. Who else is hanging out with us tonight? Horror Guy is saying people were also saying that the little girl from the teaser trailer from a year ago, with the girl who said Santa, that scene wasn't in it. They did, which girl? The Juliet was a little older. Yeah. So, Horror Guy, to expand upon that, David Howard Thornton said in an interview with my buddy David, I forgot his last name. There's a lot of Davids in the terror space. He actually did an interview recently where he was talking a little bit about this. That scene that was shot for the teaser, they shot that in like a weekend. at some point, just to give you a taste of what Terrifier 3 was going to be. The opening scene ended up being like a bigger version of that teaser trailer we had already seen, which obviously involved the parents, another sibling kind of thing. And obviously it wasn't the same actress either. I had a little bit of confusion with that in the comments of my of my most recent review, which go check it out. Just hit 10,000 views. Thank you guys so much for all the views on the review video. Thank you guys. So yeah, it was a different actress playing Juliet. Technically that's Juliet in both sequences. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool that they reimagined it and made it into something much bigger. Many more kills, obviously, in that opening too, which was sick. So I thought that was fun. But I liked it. I liked that we expanded on that. We didn't just do the same thing we had already seen from a teaser trailer. Locked is hanging out with us. What's up, Locked? Thank you for becoming a member on the stream. Appreciate that. Saying they didn't kill her immediately because we're dealing with demons that are out to fuck around. They're not trained military on a mission. Exactly. 100%. These are chaotic, lawless demons that don't give a fuck. I got Lord of the Rings vibes with Jonathan. Hear me out. Okay, I'll hear you out. Anything with Lord of the Rings, I'm definitely down to talk about. The reveal of his death was kind of like Gandalf going down. Okay. The ball, is it Balrog in Fellowship? I always forget what that fucking thing's name is, but it's great. You shall not pass and all that. Then like the Two Towers, T4 will show us what actually happened. Ooh. Damn. Okay, you're starting to get me over to the dark side here a little bit. I like that. It would be cool if we could do something like that. Listen, you just throw Lord of the Rings at something, and I'm going to be a little more into it. I'm going to be completely real. Like, you could pitch me anything, like even something just terrible, and you say, well, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, and I'd be like, okay, I'm here. I'm listening. You got me listening, Coconut Dream. Mr. Pisstaker, thank you for being a member. Saying, I wonder what Art's eyes rolling white in the climax means. I imagine that's got to be him having demonic energy, right? That's got to be him just being like, fuck you, Sienna. I'm a fucking demon. I'm a demon clown. Oh, get wrecked. I don't know. That's all I got for that one. I think it's cool though. The glowing eyes. I've always been kind of a fan of that. I love demons with glowing eyes. It's scary. It's scary and it's fun. That's VFX though, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you forget it. A lot of us want to say that Terrifier is all just practical, but there's an awesome VFX team working overtime to make this movie as good as it looked. Necro Mechanimal throwing $10 out there. Thank you again, my friend. Saying breaking Sienna's hands, then having her depend on them the rest of the film without addressing it was annoying. Holding the sword blade as Gabs fell in reminded me of the well scene in Cyborg. I have not seen Cyborg 89, but I love the title, and I love the idea that there's something similar to the, to the ending of Terrifier 3 there. I'm gonna have to give this a watch, my dude. So here's my thing. I would have had a problem with that had they not shown us that ending sequence where it's like Sienna's looking at her hands and they grow back. I think she has some sort of powers now. I don't know if that's I don't know what's up with that. I guess that's kind of similar to what we did at the ending of Terrifier 2, right? Where she has the light shoot through her stab wound and it just kind of like heals up. Sienna has healing powers. Like that has already been established. But yeah, I mean, I think in any other horror, like if this was, Ginny from Friday Part 2 or Laurie Strode or something, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like what's going on there? Another thing where I'm just like, what's happening with all that? That's strange. Cyborg 89 can I watch this anywhere? I'm actually I love the title. I'm going to be complete. I'm sold on the title. And I love anything with horror and robots. So if this is kind of like the vibe, I'm very here for it. Okay. Jean-Claude Van Damme? Is this like a Terminator with Jean-Claude? In a future beset by chaos and violence, mercenary Gibson Rickenbacker, love the name, is charged with a mission that could change everything, protecting beautiful cyborg Pearl Prophet. Ooh, some cool names in here. She holds the cure for a deadly disease that could destroy humanity and must get it to scientists in Atlanta. But warlord Tremolo Fender, these fucking names, I'm sorry, these names are crazy. Fuck yeah, dude. Fearing that his power will be undercut by peace, intends to make sure she never reaches her destination. That sounds like an awesome Terminator like kind of rip off movie, and I am going to watch this as soon as humanly possible. Fuck yeah, it's on Tubi for free. Let's fucking dude, I'm watching this like after stream. I'm not even kidding. I am so into that. Let's go. You're also saying I watched that cyborg scene as a kid, and it's always stuck with me. It's my understanding she can only heal the wounds caused by the sword. Oh, that's a good point too. I just thought about that because that wound on her hand comes from the sword. Okay, that's actually that's a good point too. I'm not 100% sure what's up with all that. She did have a big point of this movie was the fact that she had the scars from the whipping from the previous movie. So that technically didn't heal up, right? Yeah, what's up with that? I wonder. Okay, all right. You know what? You got me there. You definitely got me there. That's odd. That's weird. But we had to make that third act work, right? that's my excuse. That's what I got with that one. Coop de Oof, what's up, fella? Saying, honestly, I wish we could have had a Terrifier spin-off movie in the style of the VHS franchise. It's called All Hallows Eve. Give it a watch, my friend. That is exactly what All Hallows Eve is. Check it out, my dude. It's great. Gangster Bro, also a member, thank you, my friend, saying, I think Terrifier 3 needed the extended cut to be my favorite. My only issue was the pacing. Well, apparently there is 20 more minutes of footage that Damien's got behind the scenes on the cutting room floor somewhere. Maybe you can tack that back on and release it sometime this December. I mean, you know, if we can do a turnaround that fast, of course. I would love to see it come out around Christmas time. That would be so much fun to have a re-release then. And with it making so much money, it's the #1 movie in the country. $18.3 million over the weekend. Holy fuck. I could see that being rushed. Hopefully not rushed, but getting out as soon as humanly possible to have a re-release around Christmas time. That would for sure be a lot of fun. I see a lot of people saying, yes, Cyborg is a Terminator ripoff. My dad and I watched it on VHS so many years ago. I am so gonna watch that though. That sounds right up my alley. Cyborg is great. Anything JCVD in the Jean-Claude Van Damme in the old days. Yeah, I haven't seen. That's a blind spot for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm aware of the fella. I'm aware of the dude. I have not seen a ton of his movies, if I'm being real. So that's something I definitely gotta get a little more into. Action, you know, weirdly enough, there's a lot of like gorier 80s action movies that I have not seen, but I fucking love me some RoboCop. Let me tell you, like RoboCop does it for me. One of my favorite, probably one of my favorite movies just of all time. That's a top 10 for me personally. Jacob Olson is saying, think about all Terrifier franchises would be reworked on VHS and could be played on good old-fashioned VCR. That would be fun. That would be dope. I know they have a Terrifier 2 VHS. I want to say there's a Terrifier 1 VHS too, but I'm not 100% on that. I want to say like the bloody disgusting shelves at Walmart or something along those lines. Something along those lines have the VHSs for sure. I feel like I've seen that before. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm pulling that out of my ass. Oh, and Ty Lee's talking about a great double feature here. Putting Terrifier 3 and Black Christmas 2006 back to back. That would be wonderful. That would be awesome. You know, that's another thing we haven't talked about with Terrifier 3. I love all the references to other big Christmas horror flicks. Obviously, you know, when he's in the attic, sitting in the chair there, that is very much so a Black Christmas reference. The Shape of the Window is also very Amityville horror, reminds me of the house from that movie for sure, but I think first and foremost that is totally a Black Christmas reference. And anytime you see Art the Clown with an axe, that is Silent Night Deadly Night, dude. I mean, the first Silent Night Deadly Night, it's iconic. It's Santa Claus with the fucking axe killing people. It's crazy. And for Art the Clown to do that here, it's great. It's a great homage, and it's done so subtly that it doesn't feel like they're just ripping something off, right? It's very subtle, the use of the axe instead of any other weapon, right? That's really all it comes down to. It's not as in your face. Not the only thing driving the scene isn't just the reference. It's just a nice little style choice that I appreciated. I also love the shower scene. Very Psycho, very very Scarface, but Damien Leone's version of that, right? And it's fun. It's fun stuff, dude. What else we got going on here? Layla White's hanging out with us. What's up, Layla? Saying, I feel like the rat scene awoke into something dark in me. It gave me new kill ideas for my book, even if I want. That's the craziest line of anything I've ever read on a live stream. That's so funny. It gave you new ideas for your book, even if I want to keep them all OG, but rats and horror is a good mix. I could not agree with you there more, Layla. Rats and horror, it just works. It's so nasty. They're gross little guys, but I love them. Whenever you can have more rats in horror flicks, I think that's always good. Always a good thing for sure. I think it's cool that we kind of brought the rats back into the mix for Terrifier 3. They're a bigger element in the first Terrifier film, running around that seedy maybe warehouse, whatever the fuck the setting is in the first Terrifier flick. We see a lot of rats running around. I mean, that's a big thing that, the bald dude and Tara talk about early on in the flick, about how there's rats running around and they're gassing the building for that reason. So I think that's fun that we got to incorporate rats into this new movie. I'm a big fan of them. Again, I still want to see a slasher eat a rat in a movie. Still have not seen that quite yet, except for a certain Scream fan film. That's totally fine. So at least we have that. At least we have old Jake biting into a rubber rat. So. Ty Lee is saying Black Christmas is gross too. It goes about as far as the studio can take it. Lots of eyeball eating and incest. Perfect. You can't have a good horror movie without these items, huh? No, but for real though, on the eyeball thing, what the fuck is up with that in Black Christmas 2006? Like, so many eyeballs. Like, every death is an eyeball getting poked out. I'm not complaining because the gore is really well done in that movie. It's gnarly, it's grimy, grindhouse feeling for sure, but it's just a lot of people getting their eyes poked out. I don't know. Listen, I'm not. You see an eyeball get poked out, it's crazy. You see five of them get poked out, it starts to lose its luster. That's all I'm saying. But I'm here for it. I appreciate it. You do you, Black Christmas 2006. Run it. Vicky cutting her box with the box cutter was something. I appreciate the wordplay there. That was upsetting. Matt, what's funny? The first time we saw that, Madison had to look away. And the second time we saw that, like, before it even started, she just completely turned away from the movie itself. Couldn't handle that one. Huh. No. Not a fan of Vicky pleasuring herself to art killing people, no. Not
a shard of glass, no.
Yeah, with the shard of glass, yeah. No, not your cup of tea. It's upsetting. That one's fucked up. Ethan Blackburn is saying, don't hate me for this, but I actually hated Terrifier 1. Listen, we respect movie opinions around here, my dude. I gave the second one a chance because I loved Art as a character, and the story really hooked me into the second film, and I fell in love with it. I mean, I gotta be real with you. I even said it in my Terrifier video I posted today for Patreon and channel members. I got halfway through the first Terrifier and I was like checked out. I was like, man, you killed the final girl? Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, I don't know if I like this or not. The first time I saw it, I was kind of like on the fence, but then, you get to the ending and it gets a little better there and I'm like, okay, cool. Fun stuff. But yeah, I will say that the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I just feel like all the momentum got shot down the moment Tara gets shot. Like, the moment that happens, that movie just kind of loses me a little bit. But I've come to love and respect the first Terrifier for sure. I've seen it a lot more lately in preparation for one, especially after hearing Damien talk about how much more influenced this sequel was going to be with the first flick over the second one. And I thought that was dope. I thought that was cool. I've really come to love the first Terrifier, and warts and all, I should say. It's fun. It's fun for what it is, but it's not perfect. Velosky, what's up, fella? How you doing? I'm still hoping that it's someone's skull, not Jonathan's. I mean, that is absolutely, it's a possibility, I do feel like he is dead just based on the way it is set up. We have Uncle Greg going to pick him up and he's like, dude, where you at? And that's clearly the entity on the phone based on the disruptions and all that we're hearing. Almost kind of sounds like it's Jonathan and Victoria's voice melded together. So something happened in between his little freak out in his dorm room to when Uncle Greg went and picked him up. Was it his death? Was it him getting chased out of the building? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. They did get his glasses though, so don't. Maybe those are different glasses. I don't know. I feel like they're Jonathan's glasses though. So something happened, and we know that for sure. Chano, is that what's going on here? What's up, fella? How you doing? How you doing? Thanks for being a channel member. Did you watch the Dead Meat interviews? You were dead right on all the lore. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have not seen that yet. I saw Damien repost it. I've been trying to catch up on some more YouTube videos. Dude, I'm still trying to get through the VHS kill counts that they did, which are so good, by the way. If you guys have not watched their VHS kill counts. I mean, listen, all the Dead Meat kill counts are good, but the VHS ones are just like especially fantastic in my opinion. I love the idea of doing multiple hosts throughout the movie. I don't know. They just nailed those in my opinion. So I'm still trying to get through a lot of Dead Meat stuff. Easily my favorite YouTube channel, so that they're definitely the one I watch the most. I will get to this very soon here though, for sure. But I will say it was cool to it was cool that a lot of, you know, again, I'm not trying to sound full of myself or anything here, but it was cool that like a lot of the stuff I ended up theorizing. I was like, oh, that's how it happened. That's crazy. The movie was non-linear. Jonathan died. I got some things spot on, which was kind of nuts. But but at the end of the day, I was still surprised and shocked by a lot of the other stuff they were able to do. I'm gonna be real. I didn't know if Vicky was gonna die or not in this one. That was something I was not 100% sure on. Art's surviving this one was actually a big shocker in my opinion. I thought for sure he was gonna die and, you know, come back at some point. They were gonna hit a double beat on that one because it's fun, but no, they didn't, and I'm kind of shocked. Kind of shocked by that for sure. Coop de Oof has been a member for 4 months. Thank you for your support, dog. Saying, hoping for Terrifier 4 to somehow set up a 5th, just so if Damien wanted to someday do a 5th movie, he could, but I can't wait for Art and Sienna to go to hell. Well, you know, Coop de Oof, to hit on this, it sounds like, again, that Terrifier 4 is going to be the last entry in the story, but there are a lot of gaps in this narrative where other things could have happened. I mean, even Terrifier 1, if we're going back to that movie, it feels like a prequel. Like, if you start this franchise at 2 and then watch 3, it feels like you're watching 1 and then the sequel, right? If you go back and you watch 1, okay, well, that explains who this Victoria Hayes character is. That's really all that movie does, you know, when you think about it. So I feel like there's still room for more movies past 4. You would just have to go somewhere else in the timeline. Think about what Saw is doing right now. You know, Saw X moving into Saw 11, we're clearly telling this prequel storyline. Like, that's, you know, arguably a prequel. It takes place in between the other movies, right? In between 1 and 2, and then this next one's probably going to be in between 2 and 3. We could totally do something like that moving into you know, like a 5th entry at some point. Like, what if, you know, this wasn't, what if Art the Clown got up at some point in between that 5-year time gap and, you know, just went on a little mini adventure? Or maybe Victoria Hayes just has her own little solo movie, which I'm not going to lie, I could get behind at this point. I think she's a really good character. There's a lot more to do with that, which we could explore in a whole, like, maybe Terrifier 1 length film at some point in the future. Why not? Why not? That would be so fun. Especially with this franchise just killing it right now. You know, do I have to bring up the box office numbers again? You know, 18.3 million over the first weekend. It did the entire run of of Terrifier 2 just in this weekend and then some. That's fucking nuts, dude. So this was, in a way, I think Terrifier 3 was a bit of a gamble, but they made all the right choices. And again, I can't wait to see where this franchise goes next. And especially, more than anything, you know, of course we're hyped for Terrifier 4. Of course it's going to be great. But I'm excited to see what happens next with Damien Leone. He's already getting some hate that's completely unwarranted, in my opinion, for, you know, a lot of the choices and edginess of his franchise. A lot of people think he's a one-trick pony, but I'm telling you, he's going to come off of Terrifier 4 hot with something fresh, something brand new that's going to solidify him as a master of horror one day. I'm putting my chips on it, dude. I know he's got some more killer ideas under his belt. We've seen him just constantly improve as a writer, a director, FX artist, just in the last you know, in the last like 5-6 years or so. I know he's got more under his belt, and I'm excited to see what else that ends up being for sure. But again, my dude Coop de Oof here, thank you for being a member for 4 months. I really do appreciate your support. And you've been hanging out on this channel even longer than that. So thank you for stopping by and saying hey to old Jake. Thanks for not leaving me in the dust. Jacob Olsen with a lot of 2s. Jacob 2 Olsen 2. Maybe this is the sequel to Jacob Olsen. I'm not sure. But thank you for the support, my friend. Saying, did you find Art funny when he entered the bar and fangirled at Santa? Because I did. I was the loudest person laughing. My girlfriend had to shut me up. She's like, dude, shut up because you're being way too fucking loud. I was losing my mind. It was unbelievably funny. I loved that scene. It was so fucking great, and I'm almost bummed that they put it on YouTube, man. I'm kind of bummed that they threw that out there. That was such a shock the first time I saw it. I think we knew from this poster. This post, the Mummy poster from the fucking 40s. No, the Terrifier 3 poster here. We knew from that, Art the Clown was going to encounter Santa, but the way it happens is fucking crazy. And Clint Howard too. They give away the Clint Howard cameo as well, which bums me out. I wish they hadn't done that. I really wish they had just kind of been like, yeah, oh my God, can't believe that person's there. It's Ice Cream Man. That's sweet. But no, I loved the scene so much. It's hard for me to even complain because it really was one of the fucking funniest sequences in the whole movie. I praised it in my review too, if you guys saw that, which, check it out if you haven't. Hate to shamelessly plug, but it's a good one. I basically praised this scene. I'm like, this is a microcosm of what works with this entire film. Like, that is what's so fantastic about Terrifier 3, capturing elements from both Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2. It's funny, it's grim, it actually gets a little scary at a certain point. I'm scared of Art the Clown again. And I think that's so what makes this movie so effective in a bunch of different ways. We get to showcase Art's sillier and darker side, all in one movie. So that was fun. That was really fun to see that here again, Jacob, for sure. One of my favorite scenes in the whole flick, for sure, dude. Thank you for the support again, my friend. Thank you. Kathy is hanging out with us. What's up, Kathy? Kathy Wecker. What up, dog? Saying that Santa kill was crazy. He was actually nice to Art. I know. Bought him a drink and everything. Do you think that was Art the Clown's first time tasting whiskey? It kind of felt like that, right? He's very childish in this scene. I almost feel like that adds to his lore a little bit. That was something I wanted to bring up tonight that I'm just remembering, Kathy. Do we feel as if Art the Clown was like just stuck in the mentality of a child or something? Like, of course, going back to the whole idea that he was this serial killer back in the 90s, maybe when he was younger or something. What's up with that? What's up with all that? He acts very childish. I feel like there's something to that. You know what I mean? I feel like there's something about that we're going to get into with Terrifier 4. But he acts very childish. It almost feels like he's never tasted whiskey before. He's peeing in the guy's lap. There's a lot of childish qualities about the killer. Although he has its moments of intelligence too, where he gets himself out of certain situations. But he has a lot of childlike qualities about him that make me wonder like what's actually going on in that noggin of his. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really up to the fourth movie to explain all these things, or maybe not. Maybe Art the Clown's just some goofy Mr. Bean-esque serial killer who just lost his fucking mind. Either way, it's something I would love to explore in a new movie at some point. Would be fun. What's going on here? Noah Flex said, "Did you think Damien Leone should have added at least 10 or 10 to 20 more minutes?" It's tough. It's tough to say because it's like 10 or 20 minutes of what, if you're saying 10 or 20 more minutes of gore, I mean, sure. Why the fuck not? But I would have loved to have seen another sequence with Sienna going to the Terrifier, again, diving back into some of the stuff that happened in the previous movie, expanding upon all the stuff with Jason Patrick's character. I would have loved to have seen more of him. But again, I think that is also kind of the point, right? We got just a taste of it, but not the entire answer. What is actually going on in that scene? Why is like basically a portal to hell opening up in this house? Why did he get the brain tumor in that sequence? What's happening there? There's so much to talk about with Terrifier 3. When it comes to all that thing, I honestly, any theory is still up in the air as to what's really going on in this whole franchise. We just have some more clues to dig into and give us some new directions, new answers to old questions. But I think yes, I would have liked to have seen 10 more minutes, just a few more scenes to flesh out the narrative of this one in particular. I like that we're still in kind of the dark with a lot of the mystery elements, but I like the idea that the everything could have flowed a little better, especially in the back half. There's just a few scenes that were a little choppy, and felt like they were, purposefully mean-spirited, but we could have done on screen and done something a little more brutal. I mean, imagine if we had gotten a chase sequence where it's just Jonathan at college, and Art the Clown's chasing him down and he's running, and you think that it's going to be just like in Terrifier 2 where he gets the shot in the neck and kidnaps him or something, but no, Art the Clown rips him to pieces, It's just like, whoa, oh shit, like was not expecting that. It would have been kind of an upsetting, almost emotional death, would have been kind of brutal to do something like that. So there are things that I wish were different. You know what I mean? I think there are things that I wish were different, but I'm still happy with the film overall, Noah. And I do think that if he had more time to do things like with Terrifier 2, the guy had a very long time to work on the sequel. I think it would have been a little more smoothed out, but they had a quicker turnaround time, and that's just as important as your budget. I think when it comes to a good horror flick like this, like yes, they had more money, but they had less time, and that to me is what this film ended up. That's where the issues with the film ended up lying. I think just give the guy more time to cook. That's all I'm saying. Holy shit, where the hair? Dude, I don't even know, man. I made some mistakes. I sacrificed a little too much for my art a couple of weekends ago now, and I'm paying the price for it. Hopefully it comes back soon. If at all. I hope so. I hope I'm not bald forever. Dear God. On a break at work, as for my Terrifier 3 review, I heard of Ratatouille, not rat into ya. I like that. 10 out of 10 joke. Mad appreciate with that one. Dear God. I loved the rat kill was my favorite, by the way. That was by far my favorite kill of the movie. They saved the best for last, and I think a lot of people were going into the shower scene with some high expectations, going into a scene where they were hoping it would top the bedroom scene. But for me, I think I kind of knew going into this one, I'm like, I don't think they're going to top that. That's fucking crazy. I mean, unless they give us like a 40-minute sequence where it's Art the Clown, chopping someone into bits, maybe they could top it, but that to me would just sacrifice the narrative at hand to do something like that, and I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I really want Terrifier to put all their eggs in that basket, right? This movie had it all when it comes to what's great about Terrifier: some brutal kills, a great story, cryptic lore, some excellent characters dealing with trauma and shit, which I know some people are like, oh God, every movie does that, but this movie does it in a unique light, and I respect it, man. I had a lot of fun with this one. Did you guys realize the shower scene is Allie and Dawn's death mixed together? Like, look at how they're killed. Mia was mauled like Allie, and then Cole was split in half like Dawn. Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. That's okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because he like rips off the top of her head and shit, and she's all like fucked up in the jaw. And yeah, Cole gets cut in half from dick and balls to up in there. Gets right. They get right up in that shit. It's upsetting. That's a really good point, Velosky. I didn't even think about that. I was too focused on the bloody ball sack in my face during that sequence. Oh God. What a horrible thing to say to 114 people on the internet. Fondren Homestead is saying, what film do you feel other than Saw is a must-watch that's almost on Terrifier's level? So you're talking about like a really gory, brutal, extreme horror movie like this. That's like a must-watch. I mean, a lot of the popular ones, there's a reason why they're popular. I mean, you probably heard of these or have seen them, but like Hostel, dude. I think Hostel is such a must watch. If you're looking for one that has a very similar concept to Saw and maybe even more brutal with some of its kills, than the original Saw. I mean, yeah, Hostel is a must watch. And sorry, I can't get Eli Roth off the brain apparently, but Thanksgiving I think has the same levels of gore as a Terrifier flick. But also has a little bit of that humor, like that campy, cheesy. I mixed the two words together. The campy, cheesy energy of like an 80s slasher flick. You have that, but like in a modern context with Thanksgiving, which is fun. So those two, I feel like if you're looking for something along those levels, check those out. You've probably seen them though. I'm trying to think about something a little more underground. I mean, Marley Kai's talking about the sadness, but I feel like the story of the sadness is not great. I think the kills and the brutality of that movie is awesome. But again, once you get past that, the story has a lot of cracks and a lot of weird things going on. That third act is rough in the sadness, in my opinion. I'm just not crazy about it, but the brutality of it's fucking awesome, which is great. So that's awesome. Green Inferno, yeah, I see people talking about that one as well. That's another great choice for sure. If you like Cannibal Holocaust and you just want to see a better version of that, Green Inferno, there you go. Skip watching Animal Cruelty and just watch the Green Inferno instead. There you go. That's what I would recommend. Madison is laughing at my bald head, as she usually does. It's Scuzzy is saying, I love seeing Vic in there too, with Art also getting kills. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this all day. I think Victoria kills it in this one. And not just because she has the Art the Clown look in the back half, which is fucking hilarious. Like she does her makeup up to go visit Sienna. That's hilarious to me. But I just loved her performance. It gives this whole franchise a whole new edge to have a killer who can talk, I think. And to give it like a Deadite, Evil Dead inspired voice and energy about it is so much fun. Love the way we introduced Victoria as well in this one, where she's, again, basically doing like a Deadite trick, saying the whole like, oh, you know, she's making me do this, help me, and then distracts Burke enough to rip his jaw off. It's great. It's basically like watching an Evil Dead movie. It's awesome. And now we have Lauren Lavera talking about wanting to be in an Evil Dead flick. It's like you kind of were just in one, you know? Now let's see what else we can do with Lauren Lavera, hopefully with a similar concept. That would be great to see. It would be so much fun to see Lauren Lavera in like Evil Dead 6 or 7, which are both in the works. For those who don't know, yeah, 2 more Evil Dead flicks are currently on the way, and I will be covering every fucking update with them because holy shit, that's exciting. But I would love to see Lauren Lavera get cast in one of these movies. That would be so exciting. It'd be so awesome. Box cutter kill or Brooks kill? Oh, good question, Screamin' Ice Cream. The box cutter kill, which we haven't talked about tonight, I'm just realizing that, where we rip into this guy's skull and then like bring the skin down over his entire... or for all the flesh and bone of his face. Dear God. Oh my God. So upsetting. I really loved that one. Brooks kill is especially fantastic though. Another note that I was talking about with this franchise in the last stream is that it seems that the Terrifier franchise always ends on a big kill as well. You know, we're always talking about like what's the showcase sequence, and that's great and all, don't get me wrong, we've talked about that 1,000 times. Love Dawn's death, I love Allie's death, the shower scene in this one is great. But I really have come to appreciate whatever the final kill of a lot of these movies ends up being. If it's like that, I think the head stomp is like one of our last big deaths from Art the Clown in the previous film, right? In the first one. I love that. I love the head stomp. That's great. I love Brooks' death in part 2. The box cutter kill is also great, and the rat kill is the last one in Terrifier 3, which is so impressive. But I think I got to go with the box cutter kill. That is so upsetting and so early on in the movie. Like, that's like child's play compared to some of the other shit in this movie, and it's still so impressive. And like I said in my review, just beats out a lot of the other kills from the rest of this franchise. Across the board, everything in this movie is so impressive. Even this, dear God, Christian Tinsley and the VFX team behind this movie combined just did such an excellent job. Cannot praise them enough. Dear God, this was upsetting. He's still screaming too when the skin comes off of his face. God damn. Ugh. But Brooks' death is awesome. I mean, this was an S tier when I ranked all the kills. It was awesome stuff. There is no Terrifier without at least one big kill scene. You're very right. You're very right, my friend. Totally agree. You got to have something in there. Lollipop Sanchez is saying, I don't know if you talked about this, but do you think that Jonathan is actually dead? So I totally get why people think he's not, and I do think he could still play a role in Terrifier 4 as a ghost, as we learned from Terrifier 3. You know, the ghost of the ghosts of the ghosts of Art the Clown's victims have come back to, you know, yell at Sienna, pass the fucking rice. So I think Jonathan could come back and be a spirit, but I do think he's dead. And I think the reason everything was done off screen with that character was, again, to have that kind of that shock and reveal in the ending. I mean, think about how much more brutal Sienna's aunt's death is now because we did that swap out. As much as I wasn't crazy about doing all of it off screen, what was really cool about the kill in general, though, was the fact that, you know, the mom thought that these two crazy fucking assholes came in there and made a bunch of rats eat her daughter's skull, and then the reveal comes after she's dead. So I think that's even more mean-spirited now when we talk about it and really flesh it out. But I do think Jonathan is dead overall. I think that is what's going on here, and that is going to, again, fueling the downfall of Sienna in this movie. You know, I think if Terrifier 2 is A New Hope, you know, Terrifier 3 is Empire Strikes Back. This is where the bad guys get the upper hand here over the good guys, hopefully for a triumphant ending in Terrifier 4. That's my guess as to where they're going with all this, but I'm not sure. Everything's up in the air at this point, but yeah, my theory as of right now is Jonathan is dead, but we might see his spirit aid Sienna in the next movie, along with some other callback characters to the past. Joshua Burrow, Jake, where was the poop? There was no poop in Terrifier 3. I was actually on a call with Josh Petrino the other night. And he said there is poop in the film, and I saw it again last night. I did not see any poop. I heard a lot of piss though. There was certainly a lot of piss. Poop though, I don't think there was any poop. Not that I caught. No poop on my watch. Zoe Crawford is saying, did you lose your shit when Art put the rats down her throat? I did. It's my favorite kill of the movie. It might be one of my favorite kills of slasher films in general. I'm gonna be honest. It's awesome. It does it for me in every regard. I'm a big rat guy. Let's just say I like eating cheese. You know, I'm big fan of rats. So that was awesome. Great stuff all around there. Art holding up an axe as he prepared to kill Sienna as angel wings appear behind her, and she holds her hands up, banishing him to hell as she screams. And I am all the what? And I am all of the souls you've killed. Oh, like all of them come to help, like kind of like a Freddy Krueger thing or something. I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. I think that could be fun. Having like all of the souls of the dead kind of come back to help out, ultimately stop the character. That's kind of like Black Phone too, isn't it? I just realized that. Black Phone does something similar to that as well, where all the souls of the previous victims came in and fucked the guy up. That's such a good movie. Oh, Terrifier P. That should have been the subtitle. You're so right. You're so right. The bar scene where Art meets Santa was hilarious. I was the only one laughing at the showing. You know, it's scuzzy. I thought I was like the only one laughing too, but the truth is, I think we were both just laughing really hard at it. People found that funny. Come on, that's great. It's crazy shit, man. It's nuts. And this is I know this isn't a two-parter question, but I have a two-parter answer to this. Would you rather fight Art the Clown or Johnny from In a Violent Nature? I would totally rather fight Johnny. Fuck Art the Clown. Fuck that shit, dude. I could run from Johnny. He's pretty slow. So I could get away from him. Art the Clown will run after me and torture me until I die. So I'm good. I'm good on that. I'll take my chances with Johnny. But my second answer to this is, did Terrifier 3 beat out the pretzel kill from In a Violent Nature? I'm going to be completely real with you guys, and I'm going to say no matter whatever my answer ends up being, it's very debatable because both those kills are great. I think the rat death, for me personally, is my favorite of the year. I think does beat out the In a Violent Nature kill. But there is just great aspects to both of them, which makes this so hard to really say one way or the other, because the In a Violent Nature death is so sudden and so violent so quickly. It literally grabs you by the throat, right? It's like, oh my God, what do you mean you're punching a hole through her with chains and breaking her skull through her stomach? That's insane. Like what the fuck? That one is more jaw dropping, I will say, but I think overall the glass tube with the rats is just so fucked up and so upsetting and in so many different ways. I mean, not only do you have like broken glass in your throat, but you have rats that are like carrying bacteria running down your fucking throat, and then they crawl out your neck hole. Ugh. I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I'm upset I am. I would rather go the way of our yoga girl in A Violent Nature than that shit. Ugh. Oh my God. Just how visceral that one gets. I don't know, man. That's so upsetting to me on multiple levels as a germaphobe and someone who does not enjoy getting things shoved down my throat. God damn it. I can't believe I said that. Lighting Ghost throwing $20 out there. I'm gonna regret saying this, but I have to finish my thought. Lighting Ghost, thank you for the $20, man. Saying my experience wasn't as good as Terrifier 2, but when Art killed the kid and the opening, the entire theater was laughing. That was amazing. And when Cole's fingers got cut off, I thought of you. That's upsetting, but I'm glad nonetheless that that you thought of me. Dude, I do agree. I don't think I was leaving the theater with as much excitement as I was with Terrifier 2. Because, when you look at Terrifier 1 to T2, I think it's just a bigger step up than from Terrifier 2 to Terrifier 3. There are improvements from the sequel to part 3. Don't get me wrong. I mean, performances across the board in Terrifier 3 beat out anything in Terrifier 2, I think. But it is just a different film, right? Terrifier 2 just feels like the actual first story based off of where Terrifier 1 is kind of just like a concept. It's just like, here's this clown killer running around in a mysterious warehouse that is so big and has a million rooms. Let's turn that into an actual movie and an actual story, you know? That's how big of a jump there was from T1 to T2. But with 3, we're just sharpening up the story elements, you know what I mean? It feels like the second chapter to a long story versus, you know, Terrifier 1 to Terrifier 2. It feels like we're just taking an idea and making it into a full fucking movie. So I totally understand that. I kind of had a similar experience with this one. I really loved it coming out of the theater. I was like, that was awesome. You know, that was so much fun. But I definitely wasn't like, I don't know if that was the greatest movie I've ever seen in my whole life, like how I was walking out of the theater with T2. But yeah, the opening was awesome. The your entire theater was laughing. Wow. That's great. That's really fucked up, but it's great. Dude, our theater was very loud, and that's great in my opinion with a lot of these movies. You know, the last theater experience I had with that was when I saw Scream 6, which I know some people, you know, people say that movie nowadays, and they're like, oh, fuck that movie. But I had an excellent theater experience with that movie. Like, the fans were losing their minds. They were so excited. We were clapping after the opening scene of Scream 6. Yeah, I don't know. It was just great. It was a really good theater experience. And so was part 3, man. The fans showed up. People were in costume. And we saw this one girl who had like an awesome Terrifier 3 Christmas sweater. I think she like made it herself. I'm going to be honest. I've seen the ones at Spencer's. This was something different, you know? We had people dressed up as Art the Clown. We had people dressed up as Arthur Claus. You know, we had a lot of great stuff going on at the theater, and it was so much fun. And getting to meet up with the Splattercast guys again was a lot of fun too. So it was genuinely a great experience. I'm glad you had a fun one as well. And you loved Cole's fingers getting bit off. I really loved the attic scene where Art the Clown bites off the guy's fingers too. I don't know. It's just some great stuff. Just great stuff all around, man. But Lightning Ghost, thank you for the $20, man. I'm so glad you had a good experience with this one. And again, stop on by at Scarefest this upcoming weekend. We gotta hang out. We gotta come say hey, do some crazy shit in Lexington, Kentucky. So yeah, for those who don't know, anybody coming to Scarefest this upcoming weekend, your boy will be there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come say hey. I'll be walking around. I'm thinking about cosplaying. Talk to my better half about that a few times. About wearing a Ghostface costume, running around with that at some point. But I don't know. Maybe I'll stay bald-headed Jake the whole time. Her mouth ripping open during the rat kill. Brutal. So brutal. Universal disappointment. I know. God, it was awesome though. What else is going on? Oh, when his knee bent backwards when he tried standing up. Oh, yeah, that was upsetting. That was probably the hardest I reeled back. And like, just, oh, God, that's so hard to watch. That's terrible. Absolutely disgusting. Very hard to watch. Great stuff. Great stuff all around. Did you have anyone puke or pass out or walk out? I've seen 3 people walk and never come back. 2 walked out halfway through and another after the shower scene. Believe it or not, like, nobody walked out. I did not have anybody walk out of this one. And I have talked about how I saw a few people leave during Terrifier 2, during the bedroom scene. I did see that. Nobody walked out during our screening. Madison, did you notice anybody leave during the first time? I didn't either. Yeah, nobody walked out of ours. So we had people who actually could handle Terrifier 3, which I'm kind of shocked by. I'm kind of shocked that us here in Northeast Ohio, we've seen it all. You know, we've weathered the storm a few times. So a little bit of, you know, a guy in a clown in a Santa Claus costume killing people. That's a Tuesday for us Ohioans. Locked is saying Scream 6 and Terrifier 3 are probably my 2 favorite theater experiences in recent memory. And Blood and Honey 1 is probably my worst. That or Jeepers Creepers Reborn. You know, with Blood and Honey 1 in particular, the first one in particular, I took I took my sibling to see that, and we were sitting there and we were just cracking up. We're like, this movie's so bad. I'm having a great time with this. But the lady like 3 rows behind me on the left, I remember where she was because I remember like being like, oh my God, she's loving this. Dude, I mean, every 2 seconds, the craziest belly laugh ever. And I wasn't even like annoyed because I'm like, this is deserved. This movie's so fucking goofy. I'm not even mad. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm cracking up too. But dude, I mean, whoever that lady was, God bless her, she was losing her mind. Just had a great time watching that movie, which was awesome. But Jeepers Creepers Reborn, dude, this was a theater experience that just made me so fucking sad. Because I was sitting, I went alone and I was sitting next to this couple who they had Jeepers Creepers merchandise on. They're like, this is our favorite horror franchise. We were disappointed with the last one, so we're hoping that this new director can make something great here. And I mean, I'm not kidding. You know, you guys, for those of you who have seen the movie, it's bad. It's real bad. It's probably one of the worst movies I've ever covered on this page, and almost regret covering if I'm being real. The moment the credits started, they stood up and just left. Like, they didn't even say bye to me or anything. We had a whole conversation afterwards. They just stood up and they were like, and just left the theater. It was hard for me not to laugh. You know, I was like, oh my God, oh, that's so sad. I feel so bad for these people, but yeah, that one was rough. That saw some disappointed fans that day for sure. That was upsetting. I think gore-wise, bedroom was worse. Overall, the shower scene was better, though, for every other aspect. You're talking about, like, realism and all that. Yeah, yeah, I think that in the bedroom scene, you know, Allie would kind of just give out at some point, right? She's still alive at a certain point there, and it's just like, what? How are you still going? She's got, like, half a face, and she's just like, Mom. You know, that's crazy. But yeah, I think the shower scene, there is something really fun about that sequence, you know? I made a point to somebody recently talking about this film, and I'm like, you know, I don't know if it's my favorite Terrifier, but it has some of my favorite Terrifier moments. The Santa meetup is so fucking funny. Like, that is an excellent top 10 Terrifier sequence of all time, without a doubt. The shower sequence, so brutal, so hard to watch. I was cringing, reeling back in terror. It's awesome. The rat kill, probably, I'm gonna say it, I don't even care. Probably my favorite Art the Clown kill, just for personal preference. I loved it. So creative, so imaginative, so fucked up and disgusting. I loved it. But man, I think I do just like the flow and feel and triumphant ending of Terrifier 2 just a little more. There's something about that. It just does it for me. So again, I'm really excited to see part 4. I'm excited to see where we go with this one. I think it's going to be even more triumphant than part 2. And I think that's kind of that's the formula with these movies. We make you hate this motherfucker in the first movie, and then we have some kind of triumphant overcoming of the character in the next one, which makes us come back for more. Blech. Words are hard, man. Oh my God, words are hard. Squidward Tennis Balls is saying the intro was the most shocking point of the movie for me, just for the fact Damien showed the aftermath of the first death, and the husband's death in the bed was super creepy and psychological. It was. I mean, the idea of you're just sleeping and some guy plants a fucking axe in your stomach. Dear God, that's terrifying. I'm locking my doors when I sleep at night now because of that sequence. It's really scary. Some great stuff in there for sure. But yeah, I do agree. I think the intro was the most shocking, you know, and a pretty good way to bring us back to the world of Terrifier, I think, for sure. I loved it. Yeah, there's a lot of different angles to this sequence. I do agree with that. It's creepy, it's psychological, has some really over the top, kind of even funny moments too, but it's hard to watch, man. Whew. Man, great sound design, some excellent stuff in that opening. They were clearly trying to impress there, you know. You were not expecting the bomb in the mall. I wasn't either. I did not think they were going to take it that far. I really thought that was just going to be, okay, you know, we're going to have this big mall showcase sequence. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, you know, like a silly little thing. Nope. No, we're going to have some more kills here. Fuck, man. That was so funny. So messed up. What is going on? Hablone is talking a little bit about I think you're talking about the Australian screening of this. A woman hit her head fainting it had to be taken in an ambulance. Yeah, I know Emma from Spooky Astronauts talked a little bit about this, that she was there and like helped the lady out of the theater and stuff. It's crazy. I hope she's okay. But yeah, be warned. This movie's a lot. Some people might not be able to handle it, for sure, which is crazy. What else is going on here? You would like if Scream could be that disturbing, like if we get Terrifier disturbing. It's really funny, Mega Sound. Obviously I started this page just talking about Scream theories and stuff. That's kind of why kind of what got me here in the first place. And now I've kind of bounced around, talked about some different franchises, but Terrifier and Scream are very, very different slasher franchises. And some are fans of both, for sure. I would call myself a Scream fan and a Terrifier fan, for sure. But they are very different. Obviously Scream is a little more character oriented, a little more about that, over the kills, a little more about the mystery and what's going on, who's the new Ghostface this time around. Where Terrifier definitely has a bigger focus on how disturbing and brutal can the kills be, versus sometimes sacrificing character development and all that for that. But there is still some great characters and drama in these movies, especially here in Terrifier 3 that I appreciate. It's constantly improving, where I kind of feel like the Scream franchise is regressing a little bit, kind of resting on its laurels, just going by the numbers, going through the motions of what has worked in the past for the franchise. So I don't know. Is that where Scream needs to go next? Does it need to find a Terrifier kill in there? Do we add that layer to make it something fresh again? I don't know. I think what Scream needs to do is they just need to give us a Ghostface that's compelling again. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make this about Scream, but I think Scream 5's killers, that was something different. That, like it or not, that was something kind of original. It was something a little more modern, and I appreciated that. Where 6 just kind of, again, rests on its laurels. Let's just do the Scream 2 twist again. So I think if that franchise is going to continue to improve, like Terrifier, how Terrifier has kind of improved from each sequel, moving forward, I think if Scream is going to try to hit those strides, they got to try something new that hasn't been done before and is done with precision, with excellence, something that is going to impress us. Give us a Ghostface that we can't compare to something else that's already been done in the franchise. Give us something fresh. Because I'll tell you what, some people say the Terrifier franchise is just gore, it's just kills. It's so not. Oh my God, every movie has added something. Has added some kind of new layer for us to really chew on and see how Damien tackles it, and it's really impressive. Can Scream find that in its 7th entry? I hope so. I hope so, man. What else is going on here? When are you going to tell everyone you're cast in Terrifier 4? I can't talk about that yet. What are you talking? Nah, I wish, man. I wish I had gotten some kind of email, but even if I had, I couldn't tell you. So I'll tell you that much. Owen Meany, I don't think you're a meanie, Owen. I think you're a nice fella. What's up? What's up, dog? Apparently, Damien Leone has another crazy opening for Terrifier 4. He said in some interview. Yes, I'm about to talk a little more about Terrifier 4, what's going on with all this, some of his crazy ideas with what's moving into the future. Sounds like Damien has a plan to do like a finale with part 4. This is going to be it, and I'm here for that. I think that might be the right move. Evan and I from Rockland Graves, we talked a little bit about the franchise and why we think a part 4 being the final movie is the right note to end this on. When a franchise goes on for too long, it loses its luster. We get movies like Halloween 5 or Halloween Ends, in the Halloween franchise, where it's just kind of like, did we need that? Were the fans looking for a movie like this? I don't know. But I think it's nice to just have like we're just gonna have a 4 movie run here and that's it, and then move on to something else. We have a horror icon. Fuck yeah. Let's try something else from Damien moving forward. Because again, I think that some stories, they don't have to go on forever. Sometimes you just need something really, some really nice little, like kind of a trilogy, right? That's kind of what we're getting here with Terrifier, and that's going to be it. That's all we need. Joe Vincent, what's up, Joe? Saying, hey, Jake, hope your day's going good. It's going very well. Thank you, sir. Saying, do you think the opening scene of Terrifier 3 is supposed to take place after he kills Santa in the movie, or do you think the opening doesn't tie into the flick at all? it does. And Madison and I caught exactly how it does just last night, and like mind fucking blown by this. So come here. Tell everybody then. If you no, you're the one who caught it. So come on. Bring it in. No? Okay, fine. Fuck. I'll tell it. So in the opening sequence, poor little what's her name? Juliet? Yeah. Poor little Juliet here. She has a doll, you might have noticed, on her, what is it, her nightstand, right? Like on her, like on a table nightstand, something right next to her where she's sleeping there. It's the same doll that Art the Clown gives out to the little girl during the scene where he's at the mall. So it has to happen in between Art the Clown getting the costume from Santa and then when he goes to the mall the next day. So I'm pretty sure it happens that night. It has to. Like, yes, and he steals all the presents under the tree to give to the kids. And one of them has well, if you've seen the movie, you know. And I was like, that is fucking awesome. No way did we figure that out. Because I even said in my review, I'm like, when does this open? Like, I love this opening scene, but when does it happen chronologically? I think I missed that. Caught it the second time. Thought that was awesome. So, Joe, I'm so glad you asked, because that was another thing I was like, oh, I got to bring that up. I got to bring that up on stream. That'd be so much fun. Yeah, it happens right after the Santa stuff happens. He must find some other house when he's just walking around late at night and steals all the presents for going to the mall the next day.
Also because he's still trying to act like Santa.
And also, yeah, this is true as well. He has that conversation with Santa as well, where he's talking about wanting to be Santa. You know, what is it? The guy says, you know, you have to have an authentic beard to be Santa Claus. You got it. You have to have the beard. He rips it off, you know, then he takes all the presents and goes to the fucking mall to be Santa. And so there's a little bit of weird motivation there, right? And then I think after the bomb goes off, he just kind of doesn't give a shit. He's just like, yeah, okay, I did the Santa thing, let's move on. And it's funny. It's great stuff. Owen is saying, thanks for saying I'm not a meanie. I got you, dog. I got you. Thank you for the super chat, man. That's so funny. I really appreciate that. Ruin. I'm gonna butcher that name. I'm so sorry. Thank you for being here, my friend from Brazil. What's up? Saying, did you feel nauseous while watching this movie? I'm your fan from Brazil. That's awesome. Hello, Brazil. Thanks for hanging out with us here in Ohio. It's probably a lot cooler down there. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's just corn. Just corn here in Ohio. If you're just like, what's it like in Ohio? Corn. If you like corn, come on up. But did I feel nauseous while watching this movie? I'm going to be honest, no. Like, I eat this shit for breakfast. Been a long time since a horror movie made me feel sick. I was like upset a few times. I was like, oh my God. I leaned over to my girlfriend a few times and I'm just like, what the fuck are we watching? Like, this is crazy. But no, I can, most horror movies I can do. That there are some lines though with me for sure. Like when things become just gore or just like the most upsetting shit as possible just for the sake of it. There are some things like that I can't do. I was talking about the other day about, I'm not going to get into it again because I really don't want YouTube to be mad at me. YouTube has been so nice to me for a long time, so I don't want them to get too pissed at me. But I saw this movie the other day on Tubi that starts off with just an insane amount of SA for absolutely no reason except for shock value. And I'm just like, fuck that. Like I turned it off. I'm just like, I'm just not into that. Sorry. I'm not here to watch something like that. You got to have a reason for the gore and the over the top energy. That's something that Terrifier does very well, in my opinion. It's all it's mean spirited, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It doesn't forget to be fun at the end of the day and be so over the top that it's like, it's clearly not real. You know, it's over the top. It's silly. It's outrageous. And that's why I think why Terrifier works for so many people, where if it had just been too grim, too grounded, it might lose people. It might not even be fun. It might just be gore and sadness and dark energy. I don't know if I could get into something like that. I like that Terrifier is fun and silly. So I'm here for that. JPR, thanks for being a member. Saying, what's up, Jake? With the success of the Terrifier films, what notes should horror movie writers be taking? Oh, great question. What notes should horror movie writers be taking? Honestly, like what I was just talking about, man, make your horror movies fun. There's a lot of excellent stuff in indie horror right now, especially in the last like 10 years. Maybe like, let's say 2014. Yeah, 2014 to now, I think there's been a lot of excellent indie horrors. But you know, a lot of those movies are kind of like, okay, that was excellent, but let's move on to the next thing. Terrifier is something you could watch a million times over and not get sick of. And why that is because it's fun. It's fun, it's silly, it's over the top, and you don't get sick of something like that, you know? So I really think that we need more horror flicks that don't take themselves so seriously, that are a little campy. Everything nowadays is so like, we got to tell an emotional story. You know, we got to make that front and center. And I'm here for that. Listen, a lot of great horror movies have that for sure. And Terrifier is slowly getting into that. But the focal point of this franchise has always been that fucking clown. And as long as you have a horror icon like that who is being super goofy, that is going to succeed. That's going to make the big bucks at the box office. And you're going to attract a lot of fans, especially right now in the horror space where you don't really have that. We don't have a lot of horror icons we can rely on. Why do I keep saying Arthur? Because it's funny. The cornhole. I just saw that. Calling him Arthur is hilarious. At least it is to me. But yeah, that's the thing. That's why Terrifier is so successful. They've been building this icon for years and years and years since that first short film from like the early 2010s. So to me, it's a couple of things, right? It's take your time, build an icon, however long it takes, and you know, in this case, fucking almost 15 years, dear God. But he did it. You know, Damien Leone did it. He pushed this guy hard enough. He was like, no, I'm telling you, Art the Clown rocks. Like, come on, let's do it. Let's make this the next icon. Let's bring him up there. Put more faith into something over than just one movie, you know? I think anything can really become a horror icon. You got to just keep taking it down different angles. I mean, we have talked tonight a little bit about some of the issues we have with the first Terrifier film. And, you know, that movie did have a little bit of an underground following, but now look at Terrifier 3. It's the #1 movie in the country. Why is that? You know, if you can just release a movie and say, hey, horror icon, bam. You got to build, you know, Freddy didn't become an icon just from one movie. He kind of did. But point being, because we have so many movies with Freddy Krueger, he's forever a staple in horror. It's the same thing with Jason. It's the same thing with Michael. You got to you kind of got to shove it down people's throats until they like it. And that is exactly what's happening with Terrifier here. They just keep giving Damien Leone money and it keeps working, you know? I think if there's anything to be said about the Terrifier franchise, it's that persistence pays off. Persistence pays off. Be persistent with the thing that you know is going to work. If you create something and you're like, this fucking rocks, I know it fucking rocks, keep building upon that. Keep working to make that even better than it already is, just like how Damien has over the last 10, 15 years. And it could get up there. It could. Any idea has the potential to hit how Terrifier is right now, but Terrifier is working because Damien Leone never gave up. So that is the biggest thing. That's the biggest reason for this success story, is because there was never a time where Damien decided to give up. And I love how Locked is phrasing this as well. You got to shove it down people's throats until they like it. Art the Clown while blowtorching a rat's ass. A perfect note to end this stream on, I think. Yes, that to me is why Terrifier is so successful. So take some notes. There you go. Just keep making it happen until it works for people. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. It's been a very fun 2 hours. I will likely be live again this Wednesday just for a general stream talking Terrifier 4 theories. Ooh, we'll be talking about Scream 7, Terrifier 4, maybe In a Violent Nature 2, maybe Saw 11. I don't know, whatever other horrors we want to get into. It's going to be very fun. We also have Smile 2 this week. Your boy might be seeing it early, which is really exciting. So stop on by the stream Wednesday to talk a little more horror, and I might have I'm definitely gonna have a Terrifier 4 review, not a review, Terrifier 4 theory video at some point this week, and I will also try to get a Smile 2 review out as well. So make sure to check out those videos when they release. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all. Peace out. Come see me at